In today's episode of EU4, I'll be playing as Ajuuraan. My goal will be to turn one of the poorest regions in the world into a much wealthier and more developed one. This will be tough because there are a lot of mountains, savannas and deserts here. And when I say deserts, I mean a lot of deserts. Basically all the worst terrain types for development. And if you think that's not enough, let me tell you that most of these territories are in an arid climate, which further increases development costs. So this is definitely not a great place to play for development, or is it? That's thanks to hidden privileges that Ajuuraan, Yemen and Arabia have. And if you think this will just be a simple dev-clicking campaign, I'll also have to fight Kilwa, the Mamluks and the Ottoman Empire. So Iron Man, let's go! Welcome imperialists, Lookas here. Yes, this is going to be one of those campaigns, because Ajuuraan makes basically no money, has an incredibly weak ruler, his only advantage is that he's old and can be made a general. So there's a good chance he'll die in some unfortunate accident. That's because I have a unique theocracy tied to the Somali culture. Unfortunately, I also can't boast a large army, but I do have a vassal. At least that's something. Let's start with privileges. At first, I take only some points and cheap loans because I'm counting on getting a cheaper administrative advisor from a mission once I pay off my loans, which I do right away. I also switch my focus to administrative, since I'm going to need a lot of those points. A lot. Next, I make a decision available for my government type and focus on taxes. You could take the 5% cheaper coring cost, but 5% is nothing, 1 to 2 points per province you conquer. And since I'm a theocracy, I already get a tax bonus, so stacking it with this one works really well. Because as you know, for war, you need money, money and more money. On top of that, this money lets me recruit the Egyptian mercenary company. A bit expensive, but whatever. And I need these mercs to complete a mission which will grant me a lot of territorial claims. So yeah, another tall game, but with tons of conquest. There will be a lot of wars. A lot of wars. Because with Ajuuraan, I plan to form 3 different countries, meaning I'll also have to change culture and complete multiple mission trees. On November 12th, as a theocracy, I can choose my successor, so I go for the merchant's son, always a good source of money. Ooh, Aliko, I like you. Oh, but he's old. Then I take more loans and hire a cheaper administrative advisor. Only him because I can't afford the others. On the 30th, I complete the previously mentioned mission and only then set my rivals, those countries here. I got lucky because they either have no allies or are only allied among themselves. I also make my ruler a general. Not bad, not bad. And I attack Marehan first along with its ally, completely crushing their army before splitting mine up to occupy their entire country. I also make my vassal siege one province, just in case. Next, I deal with Pat. Meanwhile, I work on fabricating claims on more countries, since Warsangali has picked up a lot of alliances. Ogden, on the other hand, not so much. Oh no, my ruler died during the war. What a terrible tragedy. I lost a point of stability. I like getting money. I quickly end the war. I take most of Marehan's land. Not all, because I also want to humiliate them. I'm still not sure when I'll use the golden era, but I'd rather have it unlocked already. Then I press more claims and attack this country without calling an ally, making the war much easier. Warsangali is small enough to be fully conquered in one war. Warsangali's armies also retreated to this province. I don't know why everyone loves getting their faces smashed here, but there will be another battle. Especially since my new ruler is an excellent commander. Plus numerical superiority does its job. They survived. But not for long, because 3 months later I crush my opponent's army. I sign peace with Warsangali. Sure, it gives me a lot of aggressive expansion, but I'm still not at risk of a coalition. And after these conquests, I recovered 15% of the land. Seems worth it. Now I assign the remaining privileges. For the ulema, I take 2 additional ones, plus invite a scholar to temporarily reduce aggressive expansion. Later, I'll swap him for a scholar that lowers development costs. I'm mentioning it now because I might forget later. Then I invite another scholar to my court. The remaining privileges for the amirs look like this, for the merchants like this, and for the dhimmi just one for now. For now, I also lower army maintenance. Before the war with Adal, I need to do something. Try to ally Kaffa, because later I'll need an ally that owns a gold mine for some mission objectives. Kilwa is my rival, so they're out. Mutapa doesn't even know I exist yet, so they won't ally me either. Plus, there's a decent chance Kilwa will conquer them soon. If I get this alliance, it will trigger an event that gives some pretty nice bonuses. Speaking of nice bonuses, there are some great ongoing discounts on ENEBA where you can grab missing DLCs for Europa Universalis IV, Victoria 3 and other Paradox games. Using my links gets you an extra discount and supports the channel. Highly recommended. Lookas. Back to the game. First, I add the newly conquered provinces to states. Then I lower autonomy to boost my income. Yes, this also means I'll have a lot of rebellions, but I can take cheap loans, which are now bigger than before. And I could afford a cheap mercenary company. To stay within my force limit, I dismiss my cavalry. Meanwhile, I also secure an alliance with the Mamluks, just in case. But heads up, if a war breaks out with the Ottomans, I won't be answering their call. I develop military technology to level 4. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to ally Kaffa before the war with Adal, so I attack Adal. My tech advantage should help counter their numerical superiority. Muhammad Hassan and his family. A pretty cool event that lets me either discover the province of Mewari, basically all of Mewari, or get a cheaper level 2 diplomatic advisor. Honestly, I want the advisor. As for the war, I send my fleet out to the strait as fast as possible so that Aden's allies can't send reinforcements. At the start, I move south to occupy a province belonging to Aden's ally and quickly crush their army. I let my vassal occupy that province while I return north where I win a battle against Aden's forces. Meanwhile, a rebellion breaks out in the south, completely wiping out my vassal's army. In revenge, I destroy Bahir's army, which allows me to enter Adal's territory without any problems and start sieging its forts. Speaking of Mutapa not lasting long, yeah, it's already been wiped out by Kilwa. A few years later, most of Adal and its forts are under my occupation, so I was able to take military access from Yemen. Of course, I have to deal with some dumb fleet blockading me. I don't know why they even engage in this fight when they have no heavy ships. After their failed blockade, I cross the strait and crush the last remaining armies of my enemies. Since these allies are of Yemeni culture, which I need, I had to conquer them too. This allowed me to unify the Somali clans, granting me claims on Ethiopian territory. After this war, I repay my 1% loans again, only to take out even bigger ones shortly after. Seriously, rolling loans is one of the best strategies you can use when playing as small poor nations. I take military tech level 5. Okay, I'm doing it without embracing the Renaissance, but it's worth it because I need to attack Ethiopia now with the goal of taking Gondar. Yeah, I know Sauron failed, but I'm better. A month later, I also attack what remains of Rasid. Honestly, with my tech advantage and Ethiopia's relatively small armies, I can easily siege 2 provinces at once. Taking down those forts took a while, but right after, Yemen is out of the war, because it ceases to exist. I completely wipe out Ethiopia's armies. Before ending the war, I have to deal with rebel suppression, because revolts are breaking out everywhere. I also embrace the Renaissance in my capital. Oh, I forgot to mention, but my capital and a few nearby provinces are farmland, so they're great for development. I also annex my vassal, which lets me complete this mission. Always nice to get a few development points. Now, I just need an ally with a gold mine. From Ethiopia, I take money, war reparations, these provinces, and most importantly, a gold mine. Because I'm an idiot, I messed up my mission. And now Kaffa wants an alliance. Great! After this war, I have to delete a few of my forts because I can't afford them for now, though I'll probably rebuild them later, so I supposedly have access to gold now. Wait, really? I have an ally with a gold mine, but I don't have 100 relations with them. Well, even after improving relations, the game still treats this mission as completed militarily, so I'll have to redo this mission once I acquire and develop most of the gold mines. In my recent wars, I conquered a bit too much, which means I'll now have to deal with rebellion after rebellion, which I'm already doing. I can also choose my first age ability, which will be reduced aggressive expansion. Yeah, in my development-focused games, I always have issues with aggressive expansion. If you think getting Yemeni culture means I don't need to rush anymore, well, I still have to stay as Ajuuraan until I unlock that national idea, which means I need to complete 2 full idea groups and part of a third before I get the privilege I need from that mission. So if you thought I could relax now, you'd be wrong. Because my true goal is to form Arabia, and to do that, I need to conquer literally all these provinces. Plus, I have to complete this Yemen's mission, but to defeat the Mamluks, I need to grow stronger first. That's why I'm using my tech advantage to attack Kilwa. In the meantime, I'll complete the mission to have 20,000 troops. Here, this will make my country more stable. Since I have a slight income surplus, I'm not adding new provinces to states for now. I'll do that once I switch to Yemeni culture. I attack Kilwa's army, which seems to be constantly running away from me, right? After taking their capital, all that's left is to crush their army since they don't even have a single fort left. Wait, why are they so cocky? They're not at tech level 5. I love chasing enemy armies all over my own territory, so much fun. With great pleasure, I finally wiped them out. Now I have to choose my first idea group. For the strategy I've planned for this country, I'm going with mercenary ideas first. I already have low manpower anyway. I quickly occupy Kilwa's vassal's territory, allowing me to end the war and take their entire coastline. Plus, a ton of money. But more importantly, I don't take war reparations since that would guarantee Mombasa's independence, which I'm attacking right now. Kilwa still seems way too eager to fight this war, and there we go. Coastline secured. Soon I'll have access to gold mines in both Kilwa and Ethiopia. Interestingly, my only possible rival right now is the Mamluks, so I make them my rival, since they have a smaller army. However, before I attack him, I need to take care of a few things. Core the previously conquered provinces, suppress another wave of approaching rebellions, damn, there are still so many of them, build a fortress in the capital, as well as start developing some of my provinces for trade, and at some point, move my trade to Zanzibar because it's a much better trade node than Aden. I also need to conquer the entire Ethiopian region to which I have territorial claims. Thanks to this mission! With the conquest of the first Coptic territories, I should do one thing: grant privileges to the dhimmi. especially those related to religious tolerance and increasing manpower from these provinces. As for the provinces with the Shia religion, I grant an edict for faster conversion, because unfortunately, Shia is considered heretical to Sunni and it doesn't qualify for acceptance under Jimmy privileges. I also have time to deal with my fleet now. Basically, I'm scrapping all transport ships because no one is going to buy them from me anyway. And in their place, I'm building trade ships. I'll keep the heavy ships since they might still come in handy during future wars. Classic Lookas could have built a fleet cheaply but went for the expensive option instead. I'm attacking Ethiopia again, which shouldn't be too much of a problem since their army is smaller than mine. I make a white peace with their ally so I can attack them in 5 years and shorten my truce with Ethiopia from 15 to 7 years. Not much of Ethiopia will be left this time. This is also a moment when I have quite a lot of administrative points saved up, so I start unstating my provinces to change their culture to Yemeni. I try not to unstate the capital area since it currently brings me the most income. And if you're just 2% short of the needed culture percentage, it's best to develop some Yemeni cultured provinces a bit. And after a moment when I hit 50% and Yemeni becomes the dominant culture, I switch my primary culture to Yemeni. And unfortunately, just as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I lose my government form. Clerical state is fine though, since it increases taxes. Next, I re-add all those provinces to states. And unfortunately, this method is very costly in administrative points. I could already form Yemen, but it's not the right time yet. As for the Ethiopian region, for now, I'm only adding the gold province that I conquered much earlier. And I'm not even going to convert it. Thanks to all these actions, my income increased from 20 gold to 34. And I have 10 gold in pure profit. That's something I can work with. I can start building up my economy with buildings. I'm also lucky because Kaffa attacked Ethiopia, taking advantage of its weakness. So once Kaffa conquers everything, I'll conquer Kaffa. That country got lucky. The development of my trade fleet triggered permanent casus belli on many provinces, as well as a 10-year casus belli to make the Maldives my vassal. That country has no allies, so I attack. And yes, this is the moment I realized that I just scrapped my entire transport fleet. I build 6 ships and move my troops to the Maldives. Kaffa finishes its war with Ethiopia, so I begin my conquest of Kaffa, the Maldives become my vassal, and I attack Kilwa because my truce expired and I have troops in the area. Along the way, I'll also get a vassal in Madagascar, which I'll use to rule the entire region. Antemoro becomes my vassal since I can't directly annex them. I conquer all of Kilwa, and since they disappear, their vassal automatically becomes mine, and they even like me. Then I attack all the states in Madagascar. I'm fighting 3 wars at the same time, but I conquer everything without much trouble and hand it over. And I order my vassal to direct all their trade to me. Honestly, I don't feel like coming back here for further conquest, so I attack all the countries in the region. Now I just need to suppress the rebellions in the area and move my trade center to Zanzibar. I already control 60% of it, so it would be a waste not to do it. And perfect, the entire region is conquered. These conquests have officially made me the greatest power in the world at this moment. Stronger than the Ottoman Empire, though still weaker than Ming. Alright, since 1500 is approaching and I've accumulated a lot of diplomatic points, I trigger the golden era to begin the first major development of this country. I want to cheaply develop all 7 of my gold mines. And in the end, this significantly increased my income. It looks like the first war between the Ottoman Empire and the Mamluks has begun. I've been waiting for this for quite a while so I can ally with the Turks without much trouble. This will allow me to complete a mission to strengthen ties with Turkey and I'll be able to modernize my army. I'm curious to see what that does. And thanks to my gold mines, I can check it out right away. Honestly, I haven't felt this disappointed in a while. I'll just take the cheaper technology instead. I was hoping my unit type would change, maybe to Anatolian. At least I got a cool Janissary mercenary company. I also complete my gold-related mission and once again I feel disappointed. But I did it for the privilege. Specifically, the privilege that's really good and worth using only when all gold mines are above level 10. For now, mine haven't reached 10 yet, so I'm not taking it. And if you want a 0% chance of mine collapse, I recommend the economic ideas. In my Mali episode, I show exactly how this works. I suddenly remembered the Maldives because I totally forgot they existed. Time to integrate them, which opened my window to the world. That's not great because now all these countries will gain aggressive expansion against me. But I'll turn this into something positive and form an alliance with Persia. It's really an anti-Ottoman Empire alliance. Over the next few years, I acquired the last territories needed to complete the mission of consolidating the entire Horn of Africa. And I even got an achievement for it, which wasn't part of my plan. At this point, with all territories here unified, I have an extremely powerful income and can field a strong army. It's time to attack Wadai, which would give me access to Central Africa. That would be nice, but no, I'm attacking the Mamluks instead. But first, everywhere possible, I trigger and suppress rebellions so I don't have to deal with them for a while. Then I catch up on administrative technology and ideas. And honestly, I think I'll form Yemen, but that will take some time. Ha! Got you. I could never endure such a long period without war, so I attacked the Mamluks with the help of the Ottomans. Granted, the Ottoman Empire has claims on a large part of the Mamluks, but first I will slow them down in these conquests, and I can always cut off the Ottoman Empire here, on this route. Oh, a battle with the Mamluk army, unfortunately in a rather unlucky spot, because there's a fortress here, giving me penalties, but in the end, I think I'll win this battle. It was close though. All in all, the war went fairly smoothly after this battle. I quickly remove Egypt's allies from the war, they will serve to reset the truce timer. But tell me, why does the Ottoman Empire want this province? I have no choice but to take all these provinces, which to be honest are completely worthless and will cost me a lot of administrative points. At least thanks to this, I can now become an empire. Next, I make claims on Fadl, collect contributions from my allies and conquer more territories. Right after my wars, I take my third idea group. Trade ideas. This will give me a very strong combination for both the quality of my army and the generation of large amounts of money. Besides, this country will get a 33% bonus to the strength of trade ships, and I even have a monument that boosts this further. Overall, the trade power of my ships is enormous at this point. Every ship practically counts as 2. Now my top priority is to complete 3 trade idea advancements as fast as possible to unlock the national idea hydraulic empire. And since I'm waiting anyway, I'll play around with strengthening trade as Ajuuraan because I still have 3 missions that I don't know what they do and I'm curious. For over 3000, I buy a province from Malacca, specifically Siak, which is excellent for trade. Besides, having a province in this region will give me really solid trade opportunities. This will massively increase my trade range in all these wealthy Asian regions. I'll send my fleet to every trade region and start directing the trade flow. This has definitely made me a trade powerhouse in this area, so I complete the mission. What was supposed to happen here? Whatever, there's no point keeping my fleet there, so I return to Gujarat. Now, I quickly improve relations with Daviet, which is much cheaper than buying a province from them. Yes, definitely much cheaper. And once I reach 100 relations with this country, I can complete this mission, which unfortunately only gives me income. Honestly, I would have preferred territorial claims on trade centers or something like that. And I think I just encountered a bug I've never seen before. Look at this, I send my fleet to protect trade, the same place it was before, but after a moment I get a message saying it can't reach that area, while Coromandel is fine. Weird, I steal maps from Ming, unfortunately for now the South China Sea, which does nothing for me. Okay, I stole the Western Sea from them and now I can see trade in Beijing, but it's too far away. This mission remains a mystery. Or if you know what it does, let me know in the comments. Meanwhile, I've already unlocked Hydraulic Empire, allowing me to complete the mission that grants privileges I need. This privilege is incredibly powerful. It reduces all development costs by 50% if the land is savanna, steppe, or any type of desert. So, steppes get minus 10%, while coastal deserts get 17.5% or 18%. A very strong privilege for development. But that's not all, of course. And remember, to complete this mission, we first had to unlock this national idea. Unfortunately, there was no way to do it earlier. Now, however, I can form Yemen and I'll show you its ideas. Personally, I'll stick with my previous ones since they have a development cost reduction bonus. I'm forming Yemen mainly because of the Unite Arabia mission, which allows us to form Arabia without requiring admin tech level 18. So now by forming Yemen, I keep my old traditions and ambitions. I complete all the missions I have unlocked at the moment since they provide very nice bonuses. There wasn't much I could do yet though, because I need to be at war. And that lines up perfectly, because now I need to conquer Iraq's territory. And right after that, a bunch more missions became available for me to complete. And thanks to all these missions, I'm getting territorial claims over the entire Arabian region, which I plan to use soon. In the meantime, the Reformation era has also arrived, so I'll complete this mission as well, since it will give me 400 additional splendor. I also clicked on this one earlier because I didn't realize it also grants splendor. Of course, I'll spend the splendor on religious wars or trade. Meanwhile, I'm also attacking the Mamluk Sultanate, unfortunately not early enough, so there's a risk that the Turkish Empire will attack them as well. That's why I immediately moved my armies to occupy as much territory as possible. And that might not have been the best decision because I see they engaged in battle when I had no morale. But my armies don't need morale anyway. After some time, I call in the Ottoman Empire to this war again. This is a great way to block the AI from taking action. This time I conquer the remaining provinces in Arabia, fortresses, and that's basically it. Unfortunately, this will end my alliance with the Ottoman Empire. But let's be honest, you all want the carnage that's coming. The Ottoman Empire called me to arms? I have to admit, I didn't expect that, but it will extend the alliance a little longer. It's a war against Russia, and from what I can see, Russia isn't that big. Even Kazan has survived. A beautiful and powerful commonwealth, that's how it should be. And Pomerania instead of Burgundy? Weird, Venice is quite large. 2 Sicilies have also formed. Honestly, I don't know why the Ottoman Empire called me, as I don't have much to contribute to this war. After the war, as expected, my alliance with the Ottomans was broken. I attack Mara to further conquer Arabia, and at the same time I'll reset the truce with the Mamluks. I'll also break my alliances with Hormuz and Persia. I sign a white peace with the Mamluks. After conquering this former ally of Egypt, I have finally united the Arabian tribes, which leads me to now having territorial claims over Egypt. What is the Ottoman Empire doing here? How did this war start? Oh, okay, they attacked Cyprus and the Mamluks probably guaranteed its independence. It doesn't really bother me because I only need 6 more provinces to form Arabia. I think I can get everything I need from the Turks if necessary. Somehow I managed to attack Hassa without Persia getting involved. I'm actually quite happy I only had to break my alliance with the Persians. However, Hassa was quickly conquered and I even managed to save my Persian alliance. This leads to Yemen being unified, which gives me incredibly strong bonuses for the next 50 years. And the best part, this finally gave me the 6th level of reforms, allowing me to introduce a theocracy, specifically a crown theocracy. Basically, a feudal theocracy, which provides the following bonuses, but I'm aiming for something else. This government form first reduces construction costs by 15% for 5 years, but it also has the ability to reduce development costs in the capital area by an additional 20%. That's huge. Yes, this means I'll be relocating my capital from time to time. Soon, I also plan to introduce parliamentarism. And thanks to one of the debates, I'll be able to gain minus 10% development cost. Damn. Just when I had gathered the money, restored manpower, and my truce periods had expired, I was finally about to conquer the last provinces needed to form Arabia when this happened. The Ottoman Empire attacked me. So now I'll spend a lot of my money to strengthen my mercenaries, 10% discipline and other bonuses. It cost me around 8,000 gold, but combining these ideas was meant to allow me to do exactly this. That's why I'm moving my troops to the border with the Ottoman Empire and recruiting a new mercenary company. My goal is to defend a province called Hama. Here it is. Wait, are the Ottoman troops running away from me? No, they're not running, they were just elsewhere. I engaged them in battle in the neighboring province. Even if I were to lose, though that's unlikely, since I'm winning battle after battle, my mercenaries currently have enormous amounts of manpower thanks to my ideas. The only really annoying downside is that consolidating regiments after battles is a real hassle. And after 3 months of fighting, the Ottoman Empire has practically lost all of its manpower. They had 200,000 before, now barely 38,000. Meanwhile, I still have almost my full reserves. I had to retreat from the border though, because I was constantly fighting there and couldn't replenish my manpower. Remember, reserves replenish faster on your own territory. Alright, back to the breach. Charge. Unfortunately, I lost the next few battles against the Ottomans, but regardless, I inflicted so many losses on them that the war's outcome is practically decided. And once again, my armies return to the front. This time, I have the numerical advantage in battles, so I win them easily. From what I see, I'm also fighting Ottoman mercenaries now, and they're suffering heavy losses. Yes, looking at the composition of their armies, the Ottomans are relying on mercenaries now. Luckily, mine are far superior. And it's clear that the quality of the Ottoman army has dropped significantly. They retreat immediately. Somehow, I even managed to cross the strait, and soon Constantinople will fall. And just like that, both sides of the strait are captured. I can move further into the Balkans. In this war, I'm only taking the Egyptian provinces from the Ottomans. I only needed Haleb, plus war reparations and whatever money they can spare. I have to admit, this was a bloody war. But I came out of it with nearly my full reserves intact. The Ottomans are down to a quarter of their forces and have 0 manpower left. Mercenary-focused ideas are basically like playing this game with cheat codes. Shortly afterward, I take the last provinces I need from the Mamluks to form Arabia. I also have level 14 technology, so I start building manufactories. This is what I had been saving money for. Just look at how cheap they are with all these bonuses. I wonder how much my income will increase. However, I didn't form Arabia immediately. I first wanted to complete Yemen's missions because they provide very strong trade bonuses. Or permanently increase the price of coffee until the end of the game. More permanent bonuses. And now I will finally form Arabia. Don't worry, all the mission bonuses you've gained remain when you form a new country. Arabia's national ideas are extremely strong, especially for conquest and converting to Sunni Islam. They are useless for me though, since they don't offer any bonuses to province development. I also got a massive new mission tree, which I'll now start completing. And that's exactly what this was all for. The culture change, the transformation into Yemen, all of it was to complete these 2 missions. The Oasis expansion mission, which gives me further bonuses to development costs in deserts. And even better, an additional 15% reduction in all arid regions. So now I'm enabling edicts for cheaper development everywhere, and I'll develop my provinces where it's the cheapest. A moment later, I complete the mission and gain the Oasis development privilege. Look at how cheap these provinces are. Wow. Alright, some of them are more expensive, but none of them went over 10 here. 8 points, super cheap. This one is level 25, so yeah, that's pricey. It might not be on the level of Korea, it might not be on the level of Japan, but this is still a very strong country for development. And honestly, if you wanted to push this even further, you should have formed Persia earlier. Interestingly, I didn't even realize I had another mission that reduces development costs in all my Arabian provinces. It's not a permanent bonus, but I'll make use of it for 25 years. And check this out, a level 20 province, 12 points for development. And if I had saved the golden era for this moment, I'm developing desert provinces for just 5 points. That's cheaper than farmlands. Or I could optimize this further by relocating my capital. Now I'm curious, how much development can I actually push through before the new era begins? Wow, I have so many cheap provinces, oh my god, and all of them are ready for development. So now I'm hiring level 5 advisors to generate as many points as possible. I'm also passing laws in parliament. I'm making sure I have prosperity everywhere because that also reduces development costs. I'm moving my capital to this region. I've got 5 provinces here. I won't do this in every region, but I'll do it in a few key ones. Now my costs are 15, while in other provinces they're 22 or 24. I'm moving the capital just to take advantage of this bonus. Yeah, this definitely lowers development costs. Look at how many development bonuses my capital has. From level 15 to 25, and I'm still only paying 5 points per development. Only at level 26, the costs start rising. Meanwhile, the global trade institution has spawned in my country, which isn't surprising since I'm collecting 129 gold in Zanzibar. And just look at how poor Genoa and the English Channel are. That's because I've sent my ships all over the world, channeling trade all the way from Malacca. A mountain province at level 25 for just 4 points? I'm literally developing cheaper here than on farmland. The age of absolutism has begun and I've grown by 900 development points without conquering anything in the meantime. And honestly, I have to say, that patch of desert I wanted to improve is now looking very green. And the rest of my land is in much better shape too. My income has skyrocketed along with my army's capabilities. Even my manpower reserves are looking great. And if you enjoy these kinds of development-focused campaigns, I highly recommend this episode of Victoria 3, where I turn feudal Japan into a modern industrial empire.